Man, this thing's got power on tap. G'day guys, Ronny Dahl, Four Wheeling Australia. We've loaded up the 300 series for a test drive. This is the GXL version. Is it any better than the 200? Or is the 200 better? We'll find out. I'm very lucky to have got my hands on this vehicle before it got chopped in half. That's right, Luke from On Track Fabrication and his boys are going to chop this vehicle in half and stretch it and make it into a dual cab ute. How freaking cool is that? More details than that at the end of this video. Full comprehensive review on the LC300. Lots of stuff guys on your screen right there. Skip points down below if you want to jump to any spot you like. We have arrived at the sand dunes and we've lowered all the tyres. The tyre pressures we're going to use today is 15 psi and I reckon that's going to work well. 18-inch wheels, 265 65. At 15 psi, these tyres don't seem to bulge out too much on the sides, which is great because it's the length of the footprint we want, not too much bulging, which means we have more of a sidewall thickness. We'll see how we go with those tyre pressures. Before we can go anywhere, we need to work out how to put it into full drive. Now this is a new system for the 300, so jump in, I'll show you how to get this thing into 4x4. The LC300 into full drive. Everything is literally at your fingertips. It's all just little dials and switches and stuff like that. It's a pretty cool switch actually. So let's get to that right now. To get into proper full drive mode, because this is an all-wheel drive, so all the wheels are turning. However, four-wheel drive means you lock the center diff, and the center diff lock button is right here. And the center diff is now locked. That means that we are forcing 50% power and torque to the front and to the rear. So now we've got a 50-50 split. We are true four-wheel drive. Now we can go full driving, but we want low range because we're playing around in the sand. We're going up and down sand dunes. So to do that, we need to take the vehicle to neutral. So foot on the brake, down to neutral, push down the switch and go from 4 high to 4 low. Wait for it to engage, which pretty much happens instantaneously. 4 low, traction control and all that is turned off, anti-collision is turned off. We're now ready to go low range full driving. Now we can go back to park or drive and take off. Simple as that. First impression time. Now when you drive, it doesn't show what gear you're in. On the sand dunes. 300 on the sand dunes all day. There's something different about this car. I definitely feel more confident just to get straight into it. It's definitely kicks into gear when you want it. You ask them for power, it revs it up to 4,000 RPM. Something cool I just realised in this 300, when you go to manual mode, you know, you can change the gears yourself, but I've noticed it go past 7 gears or past 6 gears. Now Hilux, Prado, a couple of other cars, they don't allow that. They stick to 4th in low range, sometimes 5th. Let's see what we can get out of this. This is 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, 7 might be. We'll get a few more revs up so we can get out of 7. 7 is the limit. Well, there you have it. 7 gears in low range. What's our speed then? We're doing 50. Not bad. We can actually get up to about 60 at 3,000 revs, just over 3,000 revs. Back to drive. Wicked. One thing's for sure, this vehicle was making me smile more than I thought it would. Trying to get out of this dune. No tango. I found that the manual mode was very confusing to use, and the reason for that was because we got 7 gears in low range. That's a lot of gears to be mucking around with, so when you're trying to time the right gear for the right dune, it's very confusing. It's going to take a lot of practice to get that right. So I found just driving around in D, in drive, just your standard automatic drive mode, I found the vehicle very easy and very capable to drive. As soon as I flicked it to manual, the only time I found the manual useful because of all the different gear ratios that were confusing me was first gear low and second gear low heading down sand dunes. Alrighty, we're at the monster dog, the monster dune. We've taken many cars down this, so I've got no doubt that this thing's going to go well. Here we go. So the first part is usually really steep as well, but it's really blown out and cut out. So these dunes change all the time, but it makes this last piece very, very, very steep. Incredibly steep, actually. Here we go. Loving this. Relaxing the steering wheel. Laying forward. Now this is definitely not for the faint-hearted. The sand is overtaking me, so it's probably going a bit slow down that one. If you panic on those things, this is going to be my full drive tip for today. Boom, cutscene, full drive tip of today. When going down dunes, do not panic. Just maintain the speed. Try not to let the sand overtake your vehicle. The ratio for that was actually really good. It will surprise me a bit how slow the first gear was when it was rotating. Normally on an automatic, they roll faster. So, pretty impressive with that, but very confusing to get your head around. 7 gears in low range, 10 gears in high range. Charlie Whiskey, this is Lima Charlie 300 requesting permission to enter the runway.
Roger. Okay.
Going in 3, 2, 1. No way. 100. Woohoo! That's got some pull, man. The whole back went down and the front went up. That was incredible. 3.3 litre turbo diesel, twin turbo diesel, in a car this size. That is pretty damn impressive. Let's quickly touch on road handling and gravel roads. When it came to on-road handling, there was no surprises there. It handled pretty damn well. Look, apart from the real good speed and power and torque and pickup on that vehicle, which was phenomenal, the handling itself, it did not feel like you were driving a 2.5 ton SUV. When it came to gravel roads, the handling, it made you feel like you were driving a rally car. Now I'm mainly speaking here for Luke because he was thrashing the guts out of it on the gravel roads. In a safe environment, of course. Alright, I was going to put it this way. This is, I've said this before in a previous car, this is the most fun I've ever had off-road in a stock vehicle. This is now the most fun I've had off-road, and this is definitely by far the most capable vehicle I've ever driven in stock form off-road. Stock form off-road. Absolutely incredible. It just eats up the sand. But it does have a few things that I'm going to pick at it, and we'll get to those a bit later. Right folks, it's time for the quick whip around of the LC300. Let's check it out. Let's start the whip around with something I just learned today. So since the LC80, the 80 series Landcruiser, they have not changed the wheelbase since then. It's 2850 long. Let's go into the dimensions. Might as well do that right now. We've spoken about wheelbase already. Overall length of it, the GXL version is 4980. The width is 1980 and the height is 1950. The curb weight is just over 2.5 tonne. GVM is 3.280 and the gross combined mass, which is the GCM, is 6750. That was the dimensions. Now for the rest of the whip around. So coming a bit closer here. So this 200, did I just say 200? It's a 300. It's a 300, not a 200, 300. Most of the skin on the outside is all aluminium. The doors, the bonnet, the front quarter panel, but this part of the roof I know is steel because we could attach our magnetic GoPros to it. So this is the only steel part that I know of on the exterior of the vehicle. So none of the doors or anything, they're all aluminium. One thing I have also noticed, and someone else pointed out as well, was some of the panels that don't quite line up spot on everywhere. The mirror is in a different spot compared to the 200. The wheel arches are more square. The fuel filler is on the opposite side this time. And the fuel tanks are split into two. 110 litres, there's an 80 litre tank and a 30 litre tank, but they all work as one tank. As you can see, the rest of the obvious stuff like cargo carryings, bars up there, but let's go to the front where there's a whole lot of new stuff happening. I would say that's an aggressive look on the vehicle. Personally, I think it looks cool. It does have radar cruise, so the same as what the new Prado has and the same as what the new SR5 Hilux has. They've finally gone and put radar cruise in the Landcruiser, something they should have done in the 200. Under the bonnet, a lot of people refer to this engine as the Hot V. The reason for that is because the two turbos are sitting inside the V valley of the V6. So this is a 3.3 litre V6 twin turbo diesel 24 valve, if that means anything to you. The kilowatts this thing pushes is 227. I'll stand to be corrected if it's on the screen. Now the intercoolers, no longer top mounted intercooler, they're actually in the front here and here. And I think that's why this bonnet seems a bit longer. It feels longer to me. I reckon it is longer. The battery's on this side and the airbox is on the opposite side as what it is in the 200. And over here we have just another cover for all the power steering and a couple other components. So it's got a lot of plastic covers in here, which I guess you go through sand, dust, dirt. It's gonna help keep it clean, I guess. Apart from that, it packs a bloody punch, as you would have already seen out in the dunes. We're now at the back of the LC300, and this is the part that most people comment about and say it's ugly, and it's big fat in the back, it looks too square. I kind of had those thoughts as well, but it's starting to grow on me a little bit, but still it's not the most desirable back end of a vehicle. But as all cars, they're gonna grow on us, I reckon. There's one thing I don't like about this back door though. So unless you slam it, it doesn't close properly. And we've had that all day. So this isn't just a one incident occurrence. I've been getting camera gear out of here every now and then, getting drink bottles out. This door, I hate this door. Now others won't like this door because it doesn't have the way, you know, it opens up. It doesn't have barn doors. It doesn't have the two section door, stuff like that. So for people from a full drive perspective of turning this car into a bit of a tourer, a lot of people are whinging about that. I don't see too much of a problem with it. It's just a pain in the ass when you try and close this door. And you'd think that they would have put like some kind of automatic door thing in them, these things. Heaps of space in here. We have the seats in the back as well. No lack of room. No lack of room in this vehicle at all. We have a charge point over here as well. Look, the rest of the stuff we're going to get to in the interior. And wait till you see the dash. It's pretty damn epic. Let's see if it closes this time. See? There we go. LC 300 interior time. I'm a big fan of how all this is laid out. And I'm going to start from this side over here. So the glove box for a start, I think is pretty cool because you got like a 2-tier, so you can put stuff down here and you got like a top shelf here. I reckon that's pretty cool. Anyway, that's a very simple thing to talk about. The interior as it is, love it because it's all black. It's all black felt on here, up here, the whole interior. So it feels a lot darker inside here. And I've only just noticed we have something up here. I've driven this car all day. I only just noticed we've got our sunglass thing up here and we've got our door light controls, map lights. I only just noticed that. I'm so surprised that they actually have done a black interior for once. Normally, all bloody Toyotas have this grey interior up here, and when you use these vehicles out in the outback, they get super dirty really quick. The dash, I like the look of it. It's really practical as well. It seems to be up higher for some reason. All the controls are easy to see. You got everything on your steering wheel as you would expect. You have your radar cruise on here, which is new. Down here, the full drive controls are really easy to get to. You got like a mode select here, drive mode. Now let's talk about drive mode. Let's turn this thing on first. With the drive mode, this vehicle not loaded and not kitted out with accessories and all that stuff. There is more power that you need. You don't need any more power in this car. Like this thing, you can overtake a truck and all of a sudden you're doing 130 and you're like, I need to slow down. This thing just wants to go. In the modes, we've got sport, normal and eco. We've been driving around in eco mode most of the day. There is no lack of power in this vehicle. It actually throws you back in the seat. Down here, we have this hidden little spot and we have a USB-C charger and a normal USB there, which probably I would say goes to Apple Play on this system. I don't know what this system is. I don't know how good the system is. We'll ask the owner about that. All right, Luke, the stereo, mate. I haven't heard it at all. You've had the car for 5 weeks. How good is it?
Very good.
Do you feel like you need to upgrade it at all?
No, we won't upgrade it. It's for a standard stereo. It pumps. Got good bass, good everything.
This is pretty cool. So this little cupboard here, center console cabinet, I guess you can call it, opens both ways. Well, that way, that way. Rear passengers can even open it that way, which is not so good if you've got kids and you're hiding some lollies or whatever in here. This is the GXL, so it's not your $30,000 fridge in the middle. Another thing I like to mention about this 300, the handbrake's electronic, right? So when you pull up, I keep catching myself looking for the foot brake or a handbrake. It's electronic, so as soon as you put it in park and you take your foot off the brake, the handbrake is engaged. You put your foot on the brake, you go to reverse or anything else, handbrake turns off. Pretty cool. Also, the charge pad for your phone. So if your phone doesn't have a case, this charge pad will work, but most charge pads don't work because most people have a case on it. Comfort, really comfortable. The interior, I just can't get over it. It's all black. The rear of the interior, as you can see, it's a little bit awkward for an adult to get in because you kind of got to go forward and then in, as opposed to other vehicles. Well, let's compare it to, let's say, the Prado and the Fortuner. Straight in, straight out in the back as an adult. But let's face it, most of these vehicles won't have adults in the back. They'll probably have kids. But there'll be a fair share of adults, I guess. The interior in the back, plenty of room. This seat is all the way back. It's even reclined a bit and I've got room. So as you would expect in a Landcruiser, heaps of room, heaps of headroom. I've got my Cobra hat on. Down here we have our own sort of aircon control here. So we can control high, low, and we have 2 USB-C ports down here. Now that does surprise me because Toyota are generally a bit of a generation behind when it comes to the tech. But it's good to see, like the front end, they haven't put a CD player in it this time, right? So we've actually got USB-C ports in the back, which surprises me because most cars don't have that. And then you've got your standard ciggy lighter there. Time to talk fuel consumption with the Landcruiser 300. What we found interesting was after a full day of thrashing around on sand dunes, gravel roads and the highway, with a total of about 350 kilometres, the fuel consumption sat at 12.3 litres per 100, which I think is relatively good for a vehicle that size and for what we put it through. Now I got Luke to monitor it for the days after, Luke being the owner of the vehicle, and 2 days later it sat on 12.1. without resetting anything, without touching any of the settings. Landcruiser 300 pricing. It's gone up a substantial amount. The entry model, $99,000. Pretty much a cool 100 grand is the GX version. Now the base model of the 200, the GX as well, was $81,000. $18,000 difference in these two models. The GXL, $112,000. The VX, $125,000. The Sahara, $143,000. Now there is a new Sahara in the mix now. The Sahara ZX, $151,000 with a whole lot of other luxury items in it. And 20-inch wheels. It's not the one you would buy for off-roading. Just saying, my opinion. And then we get to the ultimate of all of the Landcruiser 300 series. The one that's you probably want if you're looking at a 300. And that is a GR Sport, which borrows technology from the off-road racing industry. GR Sport is also the only model out of the whole range that has a front and rear locker as well from factory. All the others have no lockers. They're relying on the driving system that the 300 has. Being a very unique situation where I borrowed a vehicle from a mate of mine, Luke from On Track Fabrication, it would be silly not to ask his opinion on this vehicle after 5 weeks of driving it. Here are Luke's opinions. How impressed are you with the sand driving today we did?
Oh, the sand driving?
Yeah.
Killer. Like, I was absolutely amazed. I've driven a lot of cars in the sand, and this is by far the best for everything. Maybe because it's stock, it's got a lot of power, and it's light.
Well, we noticed you had a lot of fun because we asked you just to do a couple of runs at the end there, and you to keep going,
yeah.
keep going, keep going.
Yeah, half an hour later, I was still going. Yeah, no, it's good fun. Real good fun.
Sum this whole vehicle up, and then I'll ask you about the bad points afterwards because you don't have many, but sum the vehicle up.
Pretty much. It's just a good all-round vehicle. The gearbox, the power, the torque, the motor, the comfortability, the interior is just amazing in it. Everything's just, the whole car's just a good car.
How do you find the 10-speed gearbox? Because people will ask about that.
10-speed?
Yeah.
Awesome. It's like when the XR6 turbos first came out and you sort of drove those and you can't feel the changes and it's just smooth and it just keeps on pulling. What I don't like about the vehicle is the tailgate doesn't close properly. You have to slam it on the badge for it to close properly. If you just close it normally, it just doesn't close. The lines and the gaps and everything in the doors and the bonnet and that don't line up properly. Even with the plastic bumper, like you're looking 3mm one side, flush on the other. That's getting real picky. But you know, you pay a lot of money for these cars and the panels aren't perfect. And you know, we get picked on when we do modifications to these vehicles about lines and picking stuff, and then the factory's 3 or 4 mil out on a lot of the panels on this.
And you said something about the bonnet flapping.
Oh yeah, when you're driving, the bonnet in the middle, I think because it's alley and it's light, it sort of flaps up and down at the very top, just near the windscreen there. Okay,
I didn't even notice that, but you've had it for 5 weeks, so.
Yeah.
Tell us what this vehicle's going to look like in 2 weeks' time.
It's going to be chopped in half and probably looking very sad for itself.
And you're stretching it too, aren't you?
Yeah, this one we're going to dual cab convert it and stretch at 600mm.
Wicked.
And we'll do a GVM upgrade on it as well.
Nice.
And then we'll see what it drives like then. As I say, it's a good car as it is, but I reckon it's going to be better as a ute and longer.
You're going to use an Oxy this time?
Well, with the alley roof, who knows? No, we won't use the Oxy. It'll be all good. We've already got it nutted out how we're going to do it. We'll see what happens.
The 300 series Landcruiser, is it better in your mind than the 200 series? And had you bought a 200 series just before the 300 series came out for probably more than what they're worth? Would you be upset right now that you didn't wait for the 300? Let me know down below.